Hello, and welcome to Ben and Matt Watch Game of Thrones.
Brought to you by sci-fi christianpodcast.com. Matt, today we are looking at episode 9 of Game of Thrones, titled Baelor.
Yes, the penultimate episode.
The penultimate episode.
What was
Kind
it
of a cryptic title this week.
Wait, what was it called?
Baelor.
Baelor. Ned shouted that towards the end.
Yes, in reference to the sept that he was being brought to.
Sept being like church?
Yeah, in the Seven Kingdoms, so Ned worships the old gods, which is the heart tree that we've seen a couple times.
From Middle-earth?
No.
Not the trees from Middle-earth?
Not,
the ones that talk?
No.
Oh, okay.
Not exactly. But the predominant religion in the Seven Kingdoms is the religion of the Seven, which it's kind of like the Trinity, except with 7 parts of the Godhead instead of 3. And so their churches are called a sept, with sept obviously being a reference to 7.
Oh.
So Ned was taken to the sept of Baelor the Blessed, but we are getting way ahead of ourselves. In fact, I want to go back to last week. Really
last week, yeah.
Next week. Whoa.
We got some
Spoiler
comments.
alert.
We got some comments because we missed something that you think is crucial.
These comments are dead on. In fact, the first one I want to address is that we had said that when the White Walkers killed people, that they turned them into other White Walkers, and that is not accurate. They turned them into ghouls. So
ghouls.
Zombie-like creatures are creations of White Walkers, but are not actually White Walkers. Sorry for the misinformation.
Good. You also wanted to mention a scene that we missed in the throne room.
I cannot believe we forgot to talk about this. The scene where Barristan Selmy is dismissed. This was my favorite scene in the episode. Then we started recording and totally forgot to talk about it.
So what made this your favorite scene? Because to me, I thought, yeah, that's good, and this guy seems honorable, but what made it your favorite scene?
I love how they have captured Barristan Selmy in the series. I love the actor who's playing him. To me, he's been perfect representation of the character in the book. I love the moment where he goes, "I am a knight, and I will die a knight," as he rips off his cloak from the King's Guard, takes out his sword, and throws it down at Joffrey's feet. And do you know the significance of that moment?
With the Dothraki, you're not allowed to show your steel in front of the call. Is it like that?
Well, kind of. Remember earlier in that episode when Robb had called his bannermen, and great John Umber bared his steel and said, "It's death to bear your steel in front of your liege lord."
Maybe that's what I was thinking. Is it?
Yeah.
Is it the same, both in front of Robb and in front of Khal Drogo?
Yeah, well, the Khal Drogo thing's a little bit different.
Okay.
But it would have been, what Barristan Selmy is essentially saying, he's a very honorable man, is he's saying, "I do not consider you my king," by doing that. He's making a very strong statement.
So, universally, because we have the same rule here in the United States.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to hold up a sword in front of the president looking like you're going to kill him.
Is that an actual rule?
Probably not.
It's probably frowned upon.
Yeah, it's definitely frowned upon.
If you meet President Obama, do not attempt that.
What do you have here?
Well, I have a sword, which we've already introduced, and we'll get to this later in the episode why I'm holding it again. But if you're President Obama, this would not be a good thing to do.
Not fair.
The Secret Service would frown upon that, and not just for Obama, but probably any head of state.
Yep.
We on Sci-Fi Christian are against bearing steel in front of presidents
or any political leaders.
Pretty much anyone.
Kings.
In a threatening way.
Right.
Yeah, don't threaten people.
Alright, so good. That's last week. Let's move on to this week.
This week.
So what does the board say?
We didn't have a ton of developments. I mean, compared to some other weeks where I'm taking notes and I have a page filled with stuff, I had a lot of blank space on there because I think a lot of stuff was set up for last week. But we had action in King's Landing, over in the Free Cities with Dany. We had some action with Robb, with Tyrion, and up on the wall. Where would you like to start?
Well, I like your heading that says Drogo unwell.
Drogo is
unwell. Let's start there.
So, over in the Free Cities, we see that Drogo last week got a little scratch.
And I must note that I read online that this is not the way he got hurt in the book.
Yeah, in the book he is in a battle and then he just comes back and he's been hurt in the battle. And so...
But it was actually the actor that plays Khal Drogo that suggested this scene so that they can actually show him fighting, because we've heard that he's a good fighter, but we've never actually seen him in one-on-one combat, so there it is.
It was a cool scene. I like the addition. So, we saw him last week. It seemed like maybe it's not so bad.
Yeah,
guess what, Matt? It's way bad, man!
It didn't seem bad at all. It was just a little cut. What happened?
I think the idea is that it's gotten infected. And so, they don't have modern medicine. Little Scratch gets infected. He falls from his horse, which, do you understand why that is so significant?
Well, there are horse people, so if you can't ride your horse, you can't lead.
And he's supposed to be the leader of the horse people, and I think they even said that, didn't they?
They had a line that alluded to that fact.
A cow who can't ride is no cow, or something like that.
Yeah, and so I'm thinking they're still going to listen to the Khaleesi, Dany, but it doesn't seem like they would.
No, the one Blood Rider, which is kind of Khal Drogo's closest riders.
The Blood Riders?
He's the Blood Rider.
They have some sweet names.
They do.
I love those guys.
And so he's being a bit subordinate to Dany, saying, I don't want to listen
Insubordinate,
to you.
perhaps?
Yes.
Yes.
He was not subordinate.
Anti-subordinate.
He was anti-subordinate.
Yeah, I know. It's like they treat her pretty badly, and she's such a likable character.
She is. But Dany has a plan. She's not giving up without a fight.
No, she enlists the witch doctoress.
Mira Mazdul.
Is doctoress a word?
I don't think that
witch
it is.
Doctor. How about?
We'll just call her
a witch.
A witch, sure.
So
it's a witch!
She was enlisting a witch.
Little Monty Python reference there.
To do some sort of blood thing?
Blood magic.
Blood magic.
To bring him back to life, basically. Or he's not dead yet, but to bring him back and heal him. And she tells Dany, only life. Oh wait, I'm saying this all wrong. Only death can pay for life.
Yeah, and so at first it looks like Dany is actually willing to sacrifice herself.
She is.
Because she thinks that that's who she's talking about, but then the witch is like, no, not you. Get his horse.
Yeah. And you really like this scene, because you love violence, don't you?
Oh, I love violence. No, I don't. Did you see what I did?
I did. Did you cover your eyes?
A little.
A little bit.
Because I knew the horse was going to get it, and
he did.
Yeah, he did. You really got it.
It was gross.
Okay, so
the Blood Riders are not happy about this.
Well, first of all,
pretty much no one else is.
The witch says everyone has to leave the tent, and that seems important. And when they do leave the tent, guess what happens?
Some crazy noises coming out of that tent.
Not just noises; it's like some monstrous screaming.
Yes.
So
that's what I meant by crazy noises.
There is definitely something supernatural happening inside the tent. Correct?
Correct.
Because I don't think it was just her screaming like a monster.
However, our insubordinate Blood Rider goes in, or starts to go in to check it out.
And Mormont.
First he pushes Dany down. Oh, she falls on her stomach.
Right on her stomach. I hate when pregnant people get hurt.
Yes. But Mormont challenges him, and they have an awesome duel.
Yeah, and Mormont comes out the victor.
Yes, he is the winner, and
proves himself a good knight, actually.
Dany is not well.
She's not well. She needs a midwife immediately, but no one will help her, and so the only person that can help is the witch. But guess what?
She's in the tent.
Where all the screaming is happening.
And where does Jorah take Dany?
Strangely, right towards the screaming.
And that's where we end that storyline this week. You will have to wait one more week to see what happens.
I predict that something crazy happens with Rhaego.
Rhaego, the stallion who mounts the world.
I think that being inside that tent during this time is going to have a profound impact on Dany and the baby.
I will not confirm or deny, but that certainly seems more legitimate than some of your other predictions last week.
Thank you.
Which, by the way, you had predicted that Khal Drogo will be meeting Robb and the Lannisters for an epic showdown in the final episode of King's Landing. Are you going to stand by that one, Matt?
I don't think I'm going to.
Okay.
So it looks like, I mean, we are assuming in this episode that Khal Drogo was going to die, but now they're doing all this.
He's not dead.
You know, but now they're doing all this stuff on him. He's probably going to get healed, but maybe he'll be different.
Maybe.
Like one of the ghouls?
We will see. Speaking of ghouls, up at the wall,
yes,
Jon has valiantly defended J.R. Mormont, who is Jorah Mormont's father.
And what is his position title again?
He is Lord Commander of the Night's Watch. And he gives Jon this Longclaw.
Yes.
Which used to be the sword of House Mormont. It used to have a bear's head on it. He replaces it with a wolf's head.
Why is that?
Because the wolf, dire wolf, is the sigil of House Stark. The bear is the sigil of House Mormont.
Oh, he did it for Jon?
He did it for Jon. He gave Jon his family sword.
Wow, that's very nice.
Very cool. Jon...
he also sent away
Alliser
Thorne to Joffrey. So, way down the King's Landing. So, he's going to be gone for a while.
With the hand.
With the hand of the ghoul.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Alliser Thorne has a little bit of a chore he gets to go do.
And it feels like to me that was the Lord Commander's gift to Jon Snow. Would you say that's correct?
I would say that's correct. Jon seems more popular as he's walking around.
Yeah, and you know who doesn't look happy?
Sam.
And the two other friends that he had previously.
Oh, really?
Pip and Longstocking?
I didn't pick up on that. Wow.
Okay.
Just when I think you're finally figuring this stuff out, Matt.
All right, go ahead. What's next?
So, Pippin, what made you think they were unhappy this week?
Because they kind of showed a scene of those two guys and Sam both kind of like looking unhappy, sitting down at the table.
But weren't they really excited when you brought in the sword?
No, it looked like it was all the people that usually would pick on John were all happy, but his actual friends were like, "We stuck by you, and now you're happy with everybody else."
See, I noticed that was Sam, but I might need to go rewatch that scene.
Rewatch.
So we will see on that. We are disagreed in our interpretation of that scene.
I don't
will
know strongly
rewatch it.
about this.
Neither do I. We'll see what happens. But then John and Maester Aemon have an interesting conversation.
Well,
we learned some cool stuff.
Yes, but first, before that happened, Sam actually gave John
yes.
some interesting updates on
That
what's
he wasn't
happening.
supposed to give.
No, what's Sam's role? How was he privy to such information?
Sam is the steward to Maester Aemon.
Oh,
Maester
really?
Aemon is blind, so when Maester Aemon gets a note, Sam reads it to him.
Okay, I gotcha.
Yeah.
So Sam broke his...
He was not supposed to share this information.
But Maester Aemon doesn't seem mad that Sam did.
No, and the information is...
that Robb is going to war against the Lannisters.
And John says, I should be with him.
And you want to talk about the revelation that we learned from Aemon?
We find out that Maester Aemon used to be of House Targaryen. So Maester Aemon is related to Dany. I believe he is her great-uncle.
Okay.
Not quite sure. Don't hold me
They
to
did
that.
explain his relationship to everybody today, but
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
I didn't quite pay close enough attention to figure it all out, but I think he's her great-uncle.
Okay.
So she and him would be the last of the Targaryens, but since he's on the Night's Watch, he has forfeited all right to the throne or whatever, so...
And it was this question again now, do you honor your vows or do you follow your heart?
Yeah, and he talks about how during Robert's rebellion, where Robert took over the throne, he wanted nothing more than to ride down and defend his family, but he honored his vows.
And if he had, he would have been in line to become the next king.
He would have.
So that's pretty crazy.
So, he tells John, I won't tell you what to do. And the other significant thing in this scene is that he asked John about Ned, what would your father do if it became a choice between his honor and his family?
And he says...
He would choose his honor.
No, I don't think that's what it says.
Right thing.
He would do the right thing. That's what I said.
Which is the implication that he would choose the honorable thing, not choose his family over honor.
Interesting
Which
anti-foreshadowing.
will come into play when we get over to King's Landing, but we're not there yet.
No, we're not.
Should we talk about Robb?
Let's talk about Robb and the twins.
Yes, Robb is at the twins, which are not people.
No, they're not people. They're buildings.
They are in fact castles.
Castles, in fact.
That bridge the, I forget the name of the river. The Trident.
The Trident.
The Trident. And so
named after some delicious gum.
I don't think that's accurate.
Oh, okay.
But to cross the Trident, Robb has to convince Lord Walder Frey to let him get across.
But he's not going to do it himself, is he?
No, Catelyn goes and negotiates with Walder Frey, and we find out that even though Walder Frey is sworn to House Tully, which is allies of Robb's, he has a bit of divided loyalty.
Seems like his loyalty is just to himself.
I think you are accurate.
And it seems like he's very interested in, you could say, spreading his seed.
Yes, he is on his 8th wife.
Okay. And you told me from the book you learned how old he is.
Yeah, he's like 90, 92, something like. I don't remember his exact age, but he's
and his
well
wife,
up there.
His wife is 15 years old.
15, number 8.
And she is pregnant.
Yes, and he has many, many children.
Yeah, we're in a room full of people, and it appears that all of these people are his offspring. Would you say that's correct?
That, I think, is correct.
Okay.
In the book, Walder Frey is nicknamed by the other lords the late Lord Frey because in battles and in wars, he always shows up right after the victory's been secured so that he can say, oh, I was going to be on your side all along. I'm here to help you out now that your victory is guaranteed.
That's a great plan.
He has a great strategy.
He's alive still. He's got lots of kids.
Yes, Walder Frey is all about self-preservation.
Yeah. He actually said, when Catelyn was asking if he was going to honor his commitments, he said, give me a reason why I should waste a single thought on any of you, including the Lannisters, the Starks, the Baratheons, the Targaryens.
Yeah.
He doesn't care.
So what do you think of Walder Frey?
Not very likable.
No, he's kind of the dirty old man of Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
I was maybe a bit disappointed because in the book, the actor who played him did a really good job, don't get me wrong. But in the book, he's older and he's fatter and he's just even more disgusting in the book than he was in the series. So I thought they downplayed that a little too much.
I kind of thought he was going to try to put the moves on Catelyn.
I'm sure he would if he could.
But so Catelyn's trying to get him to let Robb and the company pass over the bridge, and Walder Frey offers an interesting negotiation.
3 conditions. Robb has to take on a couple wards at Winterfell.
Well, I have one, right? Oliver is his personal squire.
Oliver is his squire, and then
who's Oliver? One of his sons? Or?
Yeah, don't hold me to that.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I think it's one of his sons. He also. Did they mention that in the series that he's going to be taking on wards at Winterfell? Because that does happen.
No.
Okay. Well, that's one of the conditions.
Arya will have to marry one of his sons when they both become of age. And the last and final condition is that Robb must marry one of his many unwed daughters.
And Robb asked Catelyn, "Did you check out the daughters and how'd they look?" And she went,
"There's one that was maybe
that was okay."
Yeah. So this is not looking good for Robb, but
to his credit, he says, "Okay."
Robb consents, and he does the right thing for his people, I think.
Now, last week, we had seen Robb maybe plotting who he was going to march against, Jaime or Tywin.
Yes.
And he does a little bit of a fake out here.
He does.
And he sends 2,000, he has 20,000 men, sends 2,000 of them against Tywin. And we'll get to that on Tywin's side in a minute.
If I'm not mistaken, didn't he only have 18,000 and he lied to the scout that he had 20,000? Or
no, he had
the scout
20,000.
had miscounted up to 20,000?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
But I think he's supposed to have 20,000. He sends 2,000, then he has 18,000 that he takes with him against Jaime.
Okay.
And we find out that after a battle, he has captured the Kingslayer.
Jaime is now imprisoned by the Starks.
He is. What did you think of that?
I loved it. And Jaime, of course, did the thing where he challenges Robb to a one-on-one duel. Winner
takes all.
Winner takes all. And of course, I'm thinking, no, Robb, don't do this, because Jaime's a good fighter. He's proven himself.
Yep.
And luckily, Robb does the smart thing and says, if we did it your way, you would win.
Yeah.
But we're not going to do it your way.
Couple great moments of Robb's character development.
Yeah,
Number
definitely.
1, we saw his maturity with accepting the Frey's bargain.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, we saw his military, intelligence and maybe
The
even
scout
genius.
stuff.
Yeah, with the scout stuff's fake out against Tywin. He outsmarts Tywin Lannister, which Tywin is supposed to be a brilliant military commander. Yeah. And then number 3, what Jaime's trying to do is say, this guy's young, I'm going to try and provoke this young kid into taking me on, and he doesn't take the bait. Yeah. So Robb really showing his maturity.
Yeah. So Robb's coming around.
Definitely. Over on the other side of that storyline, we see that Tyrion has been assigned to lead the vanguard in the attack against Robb's forces.
It's kind of cool seeing him be a military commander.
Yes.
I mean, just a small scene, but still fun. But let's not go too far ahead. He makes a new friend in this episode.
And he's not too excited about leading the vanguard either. He makes that clear to his father.
He basically thinks he's going to die.
Yeah. Bronn brings him a new friend named Shay.
Shay. Now, what's Shay's job? Is she a prostitute?
She is, in fact, a prostitute. So a camp follower, basically.
So what were they talking about that Bronn had taken her from a different tent? Well, she belonged to somebody else?
She had been, somebody else was patronizing
her,
you might say. And
okay.
Bronn did his job of helping Tyrion find a pretty companion.
Okay.
And because all the other pretty ones were taken,
he went
and stole one.
Oh, so why does she decide to stick with Tyrion? Because he has more money?
Yeah.
Okay. So she's interesting. She's not your typical prostitute. She seems to kind of stand up for herself a little bit.
Yeah, they have a little bit of a drinking game.
Yep. It seemed to me like the game that they played on Lost called I've Never.
Yeah, a bit like that.
Yeah.
And they seem to be getting along quite well.
Yeah, they're all friends. Bronn, Shay, Tyrion, all kind of buddies.
Yeah. I'm not sold on the portrayal of Shay just yet in the series.
Okay, so compared to the book, she's not as good on TV?
I don't know. I mean, it's a little early to tell, but I didn't necessarily care for the actress who was playing her that much. I didn't know that she did a great job compared to a lot of the other actors we've gotten. And I don't remember Shay seeming this annoyed at Tyrion in the book. She seemed really annoyed during that.
She didn't seem annoyed. She seemed kind of standoffish. Kind of like her personality is like, yeah, this is my job, but I'm not lower than you. I'm kind of my own person.
And certainly she's able to meet Tyrion as an equal in the book, but it's not in that standoffish way. At least that's not my reading of it. So I'm not sold on where they're going.
Yeah, I'm not sure if this is the plan. I mean, it seems like because she's kind of put herself at almost an equal with him, you could see a potential trying to make a romance there rather than just a prostitute relationship.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't feel very romantic. It feels anti-romantic.
In the book, I think it feels a bit more romantic.
Okay.
So that's why I'm not entirely sold on it.
Okay.
But we do learn a bit of Tyrion's backstory.
Yeah.
We learn that Tywin Lannister not in line for world's greatest dad.
No, not at all. We found out that Tyrion was married when he was 16, which was pretty shocking to me. I hadn't even crossed my mind.
He married a prostitute that he didn't know was a
Well,
prostitute.
not first. It turns out that Tywin and Jaime set up this elaborate scheme, specifically Tywin seems to be the mastermind behind this, to make Tyrion think he had just saved a girl from getting raped.
Yep.
Then they sleep together and they get married that night.
Yeah. So the plan wasn't for them to get married, but Tyrion doesn't know she's a prostitute. He doesn't know it's fake.
And he falls in love with her in one day.
They're married for 2 weeks, and then Tywin finds out they got married and steps in and breaks up the marriage.
In a very harsh way. Should we go ahead and tell everybody how?
I think we should, because it's important for Tywin's character development.
Because we're trying to learn how evil Tywin is.
Yes.
Okay.
First he tells Tyrion the truth, that she's been a prostitute the entire time, and then he has all of his men rape her.
Well, in the show today, it didn't sound like rape. It sounded like they paid her for each person that she slept with.
Well, they paid her, but it's rape.
Oh, not good.
So Tywin is a despicable individual.
You told me a little bit more that was actually in the book. Do you want to tell that, or is that spoiler for something?
It's not really a spoiler. I mean, Tywin makes Tyrion go last. So after all of his men, he makes him have her one more time, and then I think he kills her, but I'm not entirely sure on that last.
Can't remember that part. Okay.
So, but yeah, very, very brutal story. Tywin, not a good guy.
No, not good at all.
So then we have a battle.
Well, after their night of drinking, the next morning Tyrion wakes up. Bronn says the battle's starting, and Tyrion shouts out, "Get my squire!"
Yeah.
And
you don't have a squire.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. And so then Tyrion gives this rousing military speech, kind of a pep talk, gets all his Mountain Clan people ready to go.
And is promptly knocked unconscious.
Well, he's short, and they just started plowing him over on accident, and he gets nailed in the head with what was like a huge hammer.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so he misses the entire battle, and that's not what happened in the book, correct?
I'm pretty sure in the book he's involved in the battle. Don't hold me to that.
So he wakes up, battle's over, the Lannisters have won, it was only the 2,000 men.
Hooray.
Hooray.
So I have a question for you here, Matt. 2 major battles in this episode. Robb versus Jaime.
Okay, but we didn't really see that battle.
And then Tywin, and that's my point, Tywin versus Robb's diversion, you might say. And both of them occurred off-screen. Does that bother you?
Well, not the way that Tyrion's story happened, because Tyrion, to me, he was almost a central character in tonight's episode.
Yeah.
Even though there's more important things that happen later.
Yep.
It kept coming back to him. So I like the way that we got it from his perspective. He gets knocked unconscious, and we've already been told by him. He said that he's a lucky person. And it is lucky. He got hit in the head.
Yep.
He maybe avoided death by not being involved at all. I think I'm more disappointed that we didn't see anything with Robb's part of the battle, but I think as viewers we were supposed to be thrown off thinking that this is Robb's people coming in, and then we see they've been demolished, so as a viewer I'm thinking, oh my gosh, Robb's team totally lost. And then all of a sudden we find out, no, this is just part of it. So, no, I don't think it was that big of a deal.
I agree with you. It was definitely more lacking on the Robb storyline, but on the whole, I wasn't disappointed by it.
In the book, did you have more of Robb's battle, or was it just like this?
No, because remember, the book is written from point of view chapters.
Yeah, that's right.
So if a character is a point of view character, everything's written from their perspective. So Catelyn is a point of view character. So we find out everything that's going on with Robb from her perspective. So since she's not in the battle, we don't get any battle scenes there.
Oh, very interesting. Is Tyrion a point of view character?
Yes.
Okay, so what we saw today was very similar to what you would have got out of the book then.
Yeah, the drinking game I don't think was in there.
Okay.
And we find out Tyrion's backstory a little bit differently, but similar content.
All right.
I also think that it's probably for budget reasons. You know, they're trying to spend their money and time as well, that there's so much to cram into these episodes. So I think there's some legitimate reasons. I'd rather have them spend the time on characters and battles anyway.
Let me ask you this question, Ben. We see Robb kind of guilt-stricken because even though he's had this great military victory, he knows that he consciously sent 2,000 men to their death.
Yeah. Ben,
how do you feel about that? Do you think Robb made the right decision in this case?
Yeah, I mean, the right military decision, it's a tough call to make.
Yeah.
You know, I think that part of what George R. R. Martin's trying to get at in the story is that war sucks,
Yeah.
and it's a horrible thing, and when you're having to go to war, you have to make really horrible decisions sometimes.
I have a follow-up question. You know Ned Stark better than I know Ned Stark.
Yes.
Do you think this would be a similar decision that Ned would have made?
That's a great question. I don't know. I would say probably, because I think Ned is a great military commander, but I would love to hear what everyone else, especially those of you who have read the book, but even those of you who have been following the series, Ned, he's a very honorable man. Would he have made the same decision as Robb?
It's a tough one.
Great question. Let us know in the comments.
The first thing I thought, right after Robb kind of had that scene where he showed some guilt, is sometimes you got to make the hard choices.
Very true.
And I don't know if I could personally do it,
but
you're
not the king.
I'm not the king, so I guess we'll see.
Over in King's Landing is where we'll wrap up tonight, Matt.
Yeah, I think that's the best place to wrap up.
And we start with Ned in the dungeon with Varys.
Yeah, so Varys again coming down, giving him some water, looking like a trustworthy character, but as you said, I've been taught to not trust anybody.
Yeah.
So I don't even know what to believe.
Varys is encouraging Ned to confess, and Ned's saying, no way, dude, I don't care if I die, but then Varys says, what about your daughter's life?
Yeah.
And that is a very convincing argument.
It is a very convincing argument.
And it goes back to the conversation Aemon and Jon had on the wall. What does Ned do when it's his honor versus his family?
Yep. So one thing Varys said also is that if you confess, Cersei will not kill you. She'll keep you alive because she'd rather have you be a tame dog than a dead dog. Is that correct?
Right. And take the black.
Yeah. He would be sent off to the wall and lose all of his nobility, and it's not the best life, but it's better than dying. And like you said, Ned doesn't care about his own life, but he does care about the life of his daughters.
Yeah. Speaking of his daughters, before we get to what happens with Ned, we do see Arya in the streets.
Yep.
So she is still alive and well. At the very end of this episode, we see her kind of being grabbed by someone. Do you know who that is?
I don't know who that is.
I will not say.
Okay.
You can figure it out if you've been following the show super closely, but not very easily. You'd have to be rewatching episodes to be able to tell.
Okay, no one we've seen before?
It is someone you've seen before.
Should I try to guess or should...
No.
Okay.
But, I'll save that one as a surprise for next week.
Okay.
So, that's the end of Arya's storyline as she looks on to what happens to Ned.
Well, not quite. I think there's something very important with Arya. So, are we now going all the way to the end?
Yeah, we kind of have to intertwine Ned and Arya at this point.
So Ned is being taken out to
Baelor's Sept,
where we started tonight's review, and Arya's up on a statue-like thing, and Ned makes eye contact with her, and to me, that was a point where Ned decided, maybe he'd been walking up there and not knowing, is he going to make the hard decision and confess that he is a traitor?
Yeah.
Or is he going to do the right thing and tell the truth that Joffrey is not the true king? And he makes eye contact with Arya, and I think that's the moment where he said, I have to watch out for my family.
Yep, and then kind of reinforcing that, he gets up there and Sansa kind of nods at him a little bit, and Ned confesses.
Which is crazy, because he basically said, Joffrey's the real king, I lied, I'm a traitor, and he even swears before the new gods.
Yep. Grand Maester Pycelle says, well, treason can't go unpunished, but we can be merciful. He turns to Joffrey, Your Grace, what should we do with this traitor?
Yes, and I think even the idea of him going to the wall is brought up. What does Joffrey say?
Joffrey says, my mother wants him sent to the wall, and Sansa has pleaded that I be merciful with them. And he's smiling, and he smiles at Sansa, and it looks like he's going to show mercy. But they have the weak hearts of women.
Joffrey.
And treason will always be punished so long as I am king. Sir Ilyn, bring me his head. Brilliant.
Oh my gosh, it was definitely, it looked like he was going to give in, like you said, and do a nice thing, but they really turned it around on us.
Now, immediately after this happens, did you pick up on what Varys does?
No, I did not.
Varys runs over to him and he is freaking out.
Cersei, I did see her freaking out too.
Yes.
Of course Sansa, because it's his daughter, but Cersei's like, no, you can't.
And this shows you just how significant this is, because Varys always in control, he always knows what's going on, and he has just been surprised. Cersei has been surprised.
So why does Cersei care so much?
Because of the war that's going on with House Stark, and the fact that House Stark has Jaime as a prisoner at this point. And then
do they know that already?
They do. I mean, the timelines are not, you know, what's happening in King's Landing might be a little bit ahead of what you saw there. So, and then they're going to go and execute Ned. This is not good if Jaime wants to be kept alive. So Cersei, this is not good for the war. This is not good for anyone. Any hope of peace is over. With Ned confessing, if he confesses and is kept alive, Ned can call off Robb. He ends the war. The kingdom is secured. House Lannister's in control. So Cersei does not want Ned dead. Oh my gosh.
And so Joffrey has no idea what he's doing.
Yeah, he's...
Because, well, Cersei is not really keeping him in the loop, though, exactly.
No, he was told what to do, and he did not do it.
Oh my gosh, I didn't realize the significance.
Yeah, believe me, remember, the small council, Cersei, Varys, Littlefinger, all those guys are all about control, and so they're not going to go up there and have not coached Joffrey on what to do.
It's interesting, I didn't see Littlefinger's reaction. Did you see his reaction?
I didn't either.
Okay, so they are freaking out.
Littlefinger's probably happy because he does not like Ned.
Yeah. So everybody's freaking out, like Ben said.
Yep.
They bring Ned over, and of course, as viewers, we're thinking, how are they going to save him? This is the main character.
It's the main character.
He's on the poster for the show. How are they going to pull him out of this one? And you know, kind of, it's like time slows down. The audio kind of goes real silent, and we're waiting for anybody to save him.
It doesn't happen.
And we see Ned get his head chopped off.
So we've talked before. Game of Thrones is okay killing main characters. We've seen it with Viserys. Now see it with Ned. Main characters will die on the series. The person who you think is the one character who can't die, they'll be the one who gets killed.
Yeah, I mean, where are they going to go from here? I mean, obviously there's other characters but Ned...
He's the main guy.
He's the heart of the whole show.
Yes, and he's dead.
So we have one episode left then.
Yeah. Any predictions for next week, Matt?
Well, I don't even know where to go. I mean, obviously, we only have one episode to go, so I don't know how much into the war we're going to get. I mean, perhaps Robb will get to King's Landing, but it seems like, could that happen so soon? I mean, we have next season yet. Maybe we'll... I would be awesome if they find out that Ned was killed, and then in return they killed Jaime, because Jaime's not likable. And then, maybe Cersei will reveal to Joffrey his real paternity. That doesn't seem like that would make sense. I don't know why that would happen.
That would probably be a bad call.
Probably a bad decision.
What about over with Dany and Drogo? What's going to happen over there?
Well, I don't...
You predicted something bad's going to happen to Rhaego.
Yeah.
Because Dany's in the tent.
Yeah, maybe Dany too. Maybe something weird will happen with her. Maybe Drogo will wake up and he'll be different.
So you predict that Drogo is going to survive, but he will be different.
He lives, but he's different.
Okay.
I think somebody of those three will be really changed by whatever craziness is happening.
Awesome. I cannot wait for next week. It's going to be a great finale.
I don't know what to... It's hard to predict anything here.
Show just keeps getting better and better.
What about Arya? You think we're going to see more of her next week?
Well, I'm not going to make predictions. I've read the books.
Well,
so likely.
Okay.
Likely you will see.
Will I find out who the person is that took her away?
Probably.
Okay.
I think that in the book, that's her last scene in King's Landing. And that's where she ends. So they might show a couple of beginning scenes from Clash of Kings.
Oh, interesting. Yes, next week make sure to tell us what scenes are from the second book.
If any.
Okay.
I'm just assuming that they might show something, but we'll see.
Alright. Well, I think that's all from here.
Yes, it is.
I'm Matt Anderson.
And I am Bendy Bono.
We're the Sci-Fi Christians, signing off.